and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor, and today on our Total Wellness Tuesday show, we're going to be talking about the 3 triggers for disease. And what I want to do is I want to let everyone know right now, whether you have a disease, whether you're dealing with a health issue, that everyone is susceptible to becoming ill, to getting some type of disease, whether it's autoimmune, whether it's chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or some type of mystery illness that medical science, or at least modern medicine, allopathic medicine, whatever you want to call it, can't figure it out because simply your blood work looks too good, supposedly, for you to feel sick. And that's why, one of the books that I really enjoyed reading, that one of my mentors wrote, was, "Why does my doctor say I'm fine if I feel so bad?" And so one of those things is something that I hear come up in my practice almost every single day, and that's that people's blood work isn't that far off. However, they are suffering from the repercussions of poor health, whether that's low vitality in general, poor immune system function, skin issues, headaches, migraines, brain fog, fatigue, you name it. It's one of those particular issues. And what I want to say is this, is that 95%, this is what's studied in research right now, 95% of all disease is diet and environment. Only 5% comes from those genetic, or I'm going to talk about genetics in a moment, but innate susceptibilities, congenital-based defects, something that we might not necessarily be able to mitigate around with diet and environment. But I'm going to show you how pretty much everything is in terms of genetics as well in just one moment. But when we go back to that, so 95%, that's obviously an enormous number, right? So 95% of all disease can really be prevented if we're following proper diet, and that means proper diet for us, not proper diet for a friend or family member, but for you, your genotype, your body type, your phenotype, who you are right now, and also your environment. And your environment, there's so many factors with that. And a lot of it, that's out of your control unless you're aware of what you're doing to your body. Meaning that a lot of people don't know that cooking in plastic wrap, that microwaving their food just in general, but also plastic-based containers, that drinking tap water, that spraying certain perfumes or air fresheners in the home, that cleaning with certain cleaning products are actually allowing toxins that they can't even see into their body. But all of these things, whether they know about them or not, increases their toxic burden, their toxic load. When this happens, that leaves you more susceptible to disease. And of course, I'll be talking about this in depth in my upcoming book this spring. But what I want you to know is that pretty much you're able to stay healthy and live a very healthy, long life if you know what the triggers are for this susceptibility to disease. So let's go over that right now. Now, there are 3 specific triggers for pretty much all diseases out there. The first one is you have to actually be genetically susceptible to that disease. Meaning this, we all have a genotype. That just means how we're born. It's our DNA. It is our SNPs, which are called single nucleotide polymorphisms. And this just means that these are proteins. These are things within our DNA that can be turned on or off, but that we are genetically susceptible to. Okay, for example, there's a lot of people out there with what's called an MTHFR gene mutation, so the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. And when you have this specific, or one of these specific mutations, whether you inherited both from your mother and father, or just one, you can be either 30% or up to 70% occluded or not able to fully methylate certain B vitamins like folate, B12, others like that as well. This means that you're going to be more susceptible to increased inflammation, like I am. But if you know that, and you take the fully methylated forms of those B vitamins, and you decrease your toxic burden, you do all the things that you need to stay healthy, you can live a very healthy, great life. And again, since more than a third of the people have this at least one allele or one, I should say, marker for MTHFR, that's a lot of the population, okay? So what I'm saying is, first, you need to have this genetic susceptibility. So another example would be this. Everyone in my family, so all 4 of my grandparents had it. Both of my parents are susceptible, or every one of my family is basically susceptible to rheumatoid arthritis, okay? So that means that we don't necessarily get MS we don't get lupus, we don't get other autoimmune-based issues, but everyone gets RA if they let their health go. So when I was 17 years old, very young, got very sick though, and my whole immune system became dysfunctional. Everything started to shut down. Literally everything. I had Addison's disease. It all started with Epstein-Barr virus. My adrenals shut down. I couldn't produce cortisol anymore. I got a massive imbalance between Th1, Th2 immunity. And what happened was, though, is I started to get rheumatoid arthritis. I had type 2 diabetes. I couldn't regulate blood sugar. But what happens is when my health declines, I get massive inflammation and it becomes systemic. That means over the entire body I get inflamed. But specifically with rheumatoid arthritis, my thumbs begin to hurt. I can't hold things in my hand. I can't pick things up. And then it moves to my elbows. So it spreads from those small joints, just like which happens in a lot of people with rheumatoid arthritis, and then in the elbows. Luckily, I was able to figure all of this out by my early 20s to mid 20s, and then all of that went away. Because remember, any disease that you get, you can reverse. So there's still an inclination to it. Meaning, like, if I just decided not to eat well and I just let my toxic burden increase, I would get rheumatoid arthritis just like my grandparents and just like my parents had as well. And again, I've helped my parents to reverse their RA as well. So remember, you can do this. Like, all of this can be done. You just need to know what your triggers are and fix those. And now I want to talk about the next two, which leads to this genetic susceptibility. I mean, so basically, remember, it's in my genes. I can't get rid of that. What I can get rid of are the next two. I can fix the next two, and because of that, then I no longer have to allow for the expression of my genes. So, having said that, RA will always be in what they call remission, but I don't have it. Like, I don't have RA. I had it. I had type 2 diabetes. Diabetes runs in my family as well. I don't have it anymore. All of those things have been reversed. You can say they're in remission. That's what conventional medicine likes to say. But I don't have them anymore, which means I don't have them anymore. They don't show up on my blood work. They don't show up on any of my lab tests. And that's because of this. The next trigger for disease is a change in your microbiome, which we like to talk about as leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Keep in mind, 90% of all autoimmune diseases, and I would say 90+%, and I would say 100%, but at least in research and science right now, we know 90+% of all autoimmune disease is tied to intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. Okay, what happens with this? Well, what happens with this is after you've used Advil or NSAIDs, you've been stressed, you've drank alcohol, you've done poor food combining, you've taken birth control, you've taken other hormones, you've gotten things that increase the gaps in the lamina propria, or basically the gaps in your gut, your intestinal wall. What happens is you then allow bacteria and you allow proteins to enter your bloodstream. And as they enter your bloodstream, your immune system, 80% of that is surrounding the intestinal wall. Now remember, you have anywhere between 26 to 29 feet or so of gut. So that means that's the outside of your body. That means when food comes in, your body's only supposed to allow the good stuff to move through that wall. And the negative, the bacteria, everything else that isn't supposed to be in your body stays in that tube that goes basically from your mouth out through your anus. And if it enters your bloodstream and it's not supposed to, well, your immune system's right there, 80+% of your immune system, to attack whatever shouldn't be there. And so it gets a hold of it, it marks it, it removes it from your body. Okay? So what happens, though, is over time, or the more intestinal permeability you have, the larger immune effect occurs. When the immune system becomes hyper vigilant because of all of these proteins and other things moving through your body, what happens is this. We get something called, whether it's an immune imbalance. Some people, I'm going to go through it right now. Okay. I wasn't going to do this, but I know there's a lot of health practitioners listening, and there's a lot of people who just care about their health in general. So I do want to explain this, and I'll do it very quickly, and I'll do it briefly, but I will do it, I think, from a really understandable level. When your immune system turns on to a very high degree, what happens is it starts to attack proteins and other molecules, pathogens, bacteria that it deems foreign to your body, meaning like it's not supposed to be there. When this happens, there's a theory called molecular mimicry. This means that when it sees other things in your body, like your body's own tissue, that resemble that thing that came out of your gut that wasn't supposed to be there, it could then attack those tissues as well. Okay? I don't necessarily agree with that fully, but that is a theory right now. Okay, there's something else called the bystander effect, that with, let's say, like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, when a gluten-based molecule or strain of amino acids looks similar to or is near the thyroid itself, that tissue could also be destroyed as well. And I know I'm giving a very basic overview. But then there's one more that I believe more in, and that's because I don't believe that the immune system in the body messes up. Do I believe it becomes hypervigilant? Yes. Do I believe it becomes hyperactive in some areas? Yes, because that's proven. What happens is this, and they are finding this out with more advanced electron microscopy. There's something called mycobacteria, the same bacteria that may escape from your gut. Well, this can go into your cells. So just like rheumatoid arthritis, just like Hashimoto's, what happens is when this bacteria enters the healthy tissues, your body signals with something called a CD4 immune cell or CD8 immune cell. A CD8 immune cell is going to cause what's called apoptosis or cell death. So when a cell or tissue is marked to be destroyed by a CD8 cell, your body actually destroys that tissue. Now, is it destroying that tissue because it's gone awry or it's gone haywire, or your immune system's not functioning well? Or is it asking your body to destroy those cells because there's bacteria in those cells that once destroyed will come out and then your body can remove it because that's an infected cell? That to me makes perfect sense, and science is proving that right now. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we have to detox our body. We have to remove this bacteria in order to fully heal. Now, we can do that in a multitude of ways, and what we need to do is essentially balance our Th1 to Th2 immunity, Th17. There's a lot that goes into that, but really what we need to do is this. We need to heal and seal up the gut. When we do that, you no longer have pathogens coming into your bloodstream. When that happens, your body can then deal with what it currently has as its toxic load, and it doesn't have more entering in, which is why intermittent fasting, which is why something like the Dr. Cabral Detox heals so quickly. It does that because it's not allowing for new antigens to come in because it's a hypoallergenic formula. It allows for over 48 hours of this thing called autophagy to take place, which removes bacteria, which removes proteins, excess proteins, and anything floating around your bloodstream. Okay, that's trigger number 2. Fix the gut. Trigger number 3 is this. There's typically an event or there's an toxic overload of your system. Basically, your body reaches a point of it's gone too far. The balance has become too great. The invaders have mounted an army too large for your defenses to overtake. This is typically from heavy metal exposure, lead, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, like anything that builds up in your system. It could be from a parasite infection. It could be from a bacterial infection like SIBO with C. diff, Clostridium difficile, something like that. It could be even a major stressor in your life, like a relationship change or breakup or loss of a loved one that creates a major stress, which creates major cortisol and then just a drop in immunity through secretory IgA and other events as well, okay? Or it could be an infection. You just got a bad virus or whatever, and that really wiped out the last of your reserves. Now, your body isn't strong enough to fight back as much. Those are the triggers. That is how disease gets a foothold and a stronghold in your body. Remember, our bodies are fighting cancer every minute of the day. We have cell mutation, but our immune system is strong enough, it's functional, and it destroys those cancer cells. It wipes out excess proteins that aren't supposed to be there, pathogens, microbes, things that we're exposed to in the environment. I mean, remember, we're getting all of these things into our body at all times. Other bacteria is touching the bacteria that's native to our body on our own skin. There's a little battle going on trying to keep our good bacteria in check with this negative bacteria. Same thing when we eat food. I mean, remember, think about all the nasty hormones and things that are put in food that sometimes we let into our body, even though we're trying to eat the best diet possible, they still get in there. It's not like our body just says, okay, just come right in and take over if you want. No, we put up a fight against that. That is why we need good quality food. We need good hydration. We need rest. We need stress reduction. We need good quality functional medicine, nutritional supplements, at least some type of multivitamin, which has zinc and magnesium and all the minerals and everything that we need to fight back. We need our own defense. We need our own army to be able to deal with the onslaught. So those essentially, if you understand this, if you understand the basis of this, you can understand that why when someone comes to me in my practice, whether it's through Skype, in person, they use our nutritional supplement packages, or you meet with another functional medicine doctor, you meet with another great naturopath, or whoever it might be that's a good fit for you, that they can help you reverse whatever health that you're dealing with. It's not magic. These things just aren't taught in medical school, and that's the issue. You have to do advanced research, just continue education. And anyone could do this. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't. What happens is this. We're genetically susceptible to some type of ailment. All of us are, and multiple, okay? When we have a change in our immunity, which again, 80% of our immunity is surrounded by our gut wall or microbiome, and when that bacteria changes, when that immune system becomes imbalanced, it then sets the stage for disease. Once we have that overload that we can no longer deal with, heavy metals, parasites, bacterial overgrowth, candida overgrowth, a stressful event, an infection, whatever it might be, then all of a sudden we hit our tipping point. And we see what we now can classify as disease or some type of health condition. You reverse that condition, that disease, that health issue goes away. You return to the vitality, the life, the energy, the vigor that you want. It's what I did in my own life, and it's what I help people do every week in my practice, and I'm absolutely grateful for that. I'm grateful for the knowledge because it's not mine. It's not my knowledge. I look at the human anatomy, I look at physiology, and I look at the pathophysiology of disease, the progression of disease, and how it affects our nervous system, our endocrine system, our immune system. I realize that everything in our body is holistic. It is connected. It is one whole. That is why being a specialist does not serve you. You need to know how the whole body works, because only at that point do you understand how the gut affects autoimmune-based disease. You know how your body's digestive system affects your immunity and your nervous system. So you know how it affects learning, brain fog, inflammation, energy, any of those things. Once you know that, you can then go about, you have that knowledge, you can then go about saying, okay, here's where this person's at. We need to fix this, this, and this. You can find that out through functional medicine testing, whether it's a food sensitivity test, an organic acids test for the gut and detoxification, an omega-3 test for inflammation, hair tissue mineral analysis for heavy metal overload. What else? I mean, there's a million tests. Stool tests for parasites. Again, you can run these tests and see what you are susceptible to. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. If you cannot afford those labs, then you should assume you have whatever that thing is. If you have bloating, if you have gas, if you have skin issues, assume there is some type of digestive-based issue. Because if you assume that and you go about fixing it, there's no harm in going about fixing it. You only strengthen your gut. There's no harm with natural medicine. All medicine, the first thing you're supposed to do is cause no harm. Natural medicine causes no harm. It is only when we use pharmaceutical drugs and harmful based substances that we could actually do harm. You're not going to do harm by taking oregano, unless, of course, you have a food sensitivity to oregano, but that is rare. But even at that, oregano isn't one of those things that causes anaphylactic shock. It is one of those things where you take it and you might say, oh, wow, I'm getting some itchiness, I'm getting some hives. Well, then oregano might not be, again, although rare, might not be good for you, but we are still doing no harm. We are healing the body at a systemic level. So hopefully this helped. This is one of my favorite shows because it really talks about the underlying root causes, which is how you heal the body no matter what you're dealing with. And it doesn't matter whether it's mood-based, mental health-based, physically based, whatever it is. So if you would do me a favor and you would please share this episode with anyone dealing with any type of health issue, you will help them to better understand how they got here and how they can get better. Thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate each and every one of your listens. Thanks for just tuning in, and now that it's March, believe it or not, spring is right around the corner. And spring has always been known as the #1 time of the year to detox your body from everything that's accumulated over the winter. And although I do quarterly detoxes myself, spring is always the season I do my longest detox to help with allergies and the heat accumulated through the cold Boston winter. So this month, I'd love to have you join me in our spring detox so that you too can enjoy your healthiest spring and summer ever. March is also going to mark the last month I can offer the quarterly Dr. Ball Detox at $100 off. This package used to allow you to literally buy 3 Dr. Ball Detoxes and get 1 free. Unfortunately, the rising cost of manufacturing a high-quality functional medicine supplement formula, along with increased shipping fees, will no longer allow for this huge discount. But for one more month, I did want to give you the opportunity to purchase 3 Dr. Cabral detoxes, which equals my 21-day detox, and then get another 7-day detox completely free. For this limited time offer, simply go to stevencabral.com/store, and you'll see a bar across the top of the website linking to this private offer page. Thank you once again, and I look forward to getting healthier and detoxifying with you this spring.